I wanted to first point out is this probably might be the first time I agree with Mark on something. He spoke on unions being good, and I'm in complete agreement with him on that part. There definitely is some good that they provide.
Is it true that the unions are part of what broke the manufacturing industries, so that manufacturing went to China?
No.
I have that impression.
Workers don't have anything to do with CEOs and owners of companies deciding to pack up and move their companies overseas. That's the decision that they make.
Workers may not, but unions may have made it so costly to employ people and hairy, all these conditions, that they might have just gone overseas instead. Had you considered that?
I would say that's an excuse that they give in order to justify moving their jobs over where they can get cheap or nearly free labor.
But they could have. But couldn't jobs have been cheap here, had it not been for unions and evil things like minimum wage? We could have had cheap jobs, and money would have still been worth something had they not caused all this inflation with inflated minimum wage, things like minimum wage, and inflated things like overpaid union employees and stuff. People get like $50 an hour, whereas normal people are getting like $20 an hour.
So most union jobs, especially if we're talking about those blue collar workers as opposed to the white collar workers, they're not millionaires. They're not usually people that are exceeding poverty or upper middle class people.
But
we can't really categorize them as such.
But aren't the unions getting better pay than non-unions workers from the same industry?
Sometimes, and it's not always just so much better pay. We also talking about working conditions, the work week itself, the work itself. Unions aren't just walking around just only negotiating wages.
They get their union breaks too. We got to get our 15-minute union break. Oh, Hake has been at half an hour. I need my union break.
I think that's a good thing, to make sure that workers aren't dying in factories or overexerting themselves, hurting themselves, and then also having a company that doesn't want to cover their medical expenses. I don't think that's the American way.
Companies shouldn't have to do that.
I disagree. I think if a company gives you a job and they kind of wear you down and giving you back pain and you walking around with a beta back because you lift and stuff, and then they don't want to cover you medically for putting you at risk, I don't think that's the American way. I think the American way is to protect American workers, not exploit them.
But there's a whole lot of cushiness and abuse and spoiling that you're not really acknowledging.
I'm looking at the 80-20 rule. You can definitely find examples of
80% abuse, 20% good quality workers. Is that what you're saying?
No, when I say 80-20 rule, that means I'm speaking on more often than not. There are definitely going to be there will be anomalies and bad examples of unions keeping bad workers on pay or unions doing bad things. But those, when we're speaking majority, unions, the people who work for the people that are part of unions, they do it voluntarily. And that's part of the American way.
That's not voluntary. They have to make. They literally have to make right to work laws so that unions can't force employees to join the union.
And that's not every job.
And that's not even in some states. Some states, like teachers in California, I think they're forced. Correct me if I'm wrong. They're forced to join the union and pay the Democrat union. They don't have a right. Yeah.
They might. So what I'm saying is if I'm a teacher in California and I don't want to pay union dues, I go work somewhere else. That's what we do in America.
Lord
we don't
have mercy.
say, no, I want to work here, and then you have to change your rules to fit what I want you to do. That's not the American way.
The American way is freedom, not
of choice.
Exactly. So you have freedom to work here and not join the evil union.
Right. And if I have and on the other side of that coin, if I have a union that has 1,000 workers and we have a contract with the employer is going to have to work with us, and we're going to have to be in some type of agreement. And if we can't come to an agreement, that employer can find new employees, or those employees can find new jobs.
I seriously doubt if we got rid of all unions that American employees would be starving and destitute.
Well, getting rid of all unions is a hypothetical that wouldn't come true.
Yeah, I mean, so is the notion that Americans would be starving were it not for unions. Because you're acting like Americans would be starving and destitute and crippled from working so their fingers to the bone without unions.
I never said that.
Yeah, you said we need unions, otherwise we would be starving. Something to that effect.
I never said that.
You said
I'm not acting like that either.
Yeah, you said that it's good that employees aren't starving.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, you did.
I said unions do more than just wage negotiations. They also negotiate working conditions.
Right,
and
they make the working conditions way too cushy. Do you agree with me that God gave us 1 day off and the unions gave us 2 days off because they're mama spirit? They're communists, devils.
I do not agree with that.
They gave us the weekend.
Opinion, but God
didn't give us the weekend. The unions gave us the evil weekend. Saturday and Sunday. That's ridiculous.
And who created the culture that created unions?
Communists.
Unions only came into play because workers weren't being compensated correctly. They were being overworked.
No,
they were being
that's
overworked
not true.
and underpaid. Okay,
no,
then why do we have unions? And why do people pay union dues and join unions?
Because there is devilish ingrates. Just like the so-called civil rights movement was evil, so was the union movement was evil. It was.
That's an opinion that you have. That didn't answer the question that didn't. What you just said was a subjective, opinionated statement, and it didn't answer the question that I asked.
Yeah, it did. Who did it? Communists.
I said, who created the culture that allowed unions to even arise and be a thing?
Communists did.
My point in that is, if workers weren't being overworked and underpaid, there would be no need for unions.
That's like saying if the racism didn't exist, we wouldn't need the civil rights movement. We don't need the civil rights movement, and we don't need the unions, I say.
Okay, and I disagree again.
You think we need the civil rights movement?
I mean, this 2024. We don't necessarily need it now as
much
as
we
needed it when. Were black people always able to vote?
Yeah, I think so. At some point, somewhere.
No, were black people always able to vote
before the civil rights movement? Yes.
No, they weren't.
Yeah, huh?
There was a short period of time between civil rights period and slavery where black people could vote. But the answer to my question that I asked you is a simple no. Black people were not always allowed to vote.
I know, but that has nothing to do with the civil rights movement.
But it has. Yes, it does.
And black people.
It has everything to do with it.
No, it doesn't. The civil rights movement came after blacks were already voting.
It's not just the right to vote. My point in saying...
Okay, and then is black people voting even a good thing?
Yes, if you're going to get... You shouldn't be taxation without representation. You telling me that black people should be paying taxes and not be allowed to vote?
We could get rid of taxes if blacks don't vote. I'd be happy.
That wasn't an answer to my question. You think black people should pay taxes and live in this country and not have any representation or be able to vote?
Maybe so. I don't know. I don't care about the taxes thing. We're asking whether blacks voting is a good thing. By and large, blacks have been voting for evil.
So they shouldn't have a right to vote?
No. There is no such thing as a right to vote. It's not a right.
Thank you for... It is. Being able to vote is not a right?
Right. It's not a right.
What is it? Then what is it?
I guess it's an opportunity or a privilege granted to the people who deserve it, who actually care and know about the country and have a stake in the country.
So black people who were born in this country, whether we're talking about the 1930s,
right,
whether we're talking about 2024, you're telling me that black people shouldn't, across the board, who are born here, shouldn't be allowed to vote?
I think the country would be better off.
That's an opinion, and you're allowed to. Listen,
are black people voting for Democrats? At 95%. 95% of those who are voting for Democrats.
I don't know the numbers, and
if like your out of control like that.
If your argument against black people having a right to vote is based on who they vote for,
they don't even have a stake in the country.
And
they're not even paying taxes. They're subsidized. Many of them.
Black people don't have a stake in this country.
Right. They don't. They're not. They're not producing.
Black people. Listen, James. Hold on. Black people fought in the Revolutionary War.
Right.
Black people fought in the War of 1812. Black people fought in the Civil War. Black people fought in World War I and in World War II. Who are you to say that black people don't have a stake in this country?
Those wars don't do anything for the country.
All right, Hake. So you brought up civil rights, and that was the main reason I called. Was about you said you disavow MLK. Why is that?
I disavowed his speech especially, but MLK was evil. He was a phony. He turned out to be a. Once I saw Uncle Tom 2, I realized that guy is just as phony as Benjamin Crump.
So because he was, in your opinion, he was phony, you disavow him?
Yeah, he was for evil. He wasn't for anything good. He was a wolf in sheep's clothing. He was an intellectual atheist, basically. Well, at one point he was an atheist, according to Chad O. Jackson's research, who exploited useful idiot young, angry blacks and whites and Jewish people and women for being ungrateful and falsely accusing whites of hating blacks when it was actually blacks hating whites. And he was like for this poor people's campaign. He was a communist, according to some people.
Okay, so in other words, you disavow him because he was phony, he was evil, you disagree with his politics, and then you think that he wrongfully got certain people in America. It's not that I disagree with his politics.
He was for pure evil. It's not about politics. He was for evil. Well, go ahead.
You said he was a communist. That speaks on politics. And that speaks on
communism is like a religion.
Communism is not a religion. It's a means of it's an economic philosophy that is going to be affected. I mean, it's going to affect policy.
It's an atheist. It's an atheist philosophy.
It has nothing to do with religion.
Yes, it does. It has a whole lot to do with religion.
You have communists.
Oh no, you're ignorant, man. You gotta read a book.
You gotta pull up your Chat GPT. I know you use it very often.
I do not. Look and find out. You're thinking you're confusing me with Anchor Baby.
I'm not confusing you with anybody.
I have never used Chat GPT.
Whatever software you use to help you research. If you look it up, you will find out. Hold on.
All right, go ahead.
You do a lot of interrupting. Thank you. I appreciate it. You will find out that there are communists of all types of religions. So to say that it's an atheist religion is ignorant.
No. I think you're being ignorant. I don't think that. I don't think that you realize that at root
there are Christian communists, there are Buddhist communists.
But they're not Christians and they're not Buddhists. You're
telling me all communists are atheists.
Yeah, at root, it is an atheist philosophy. It's motivated by atheism, and you can be a Christian, but a good communist will always become an atheist because it's atheist at root. It's anti-God. It's materialistic. It pretends that poverty causes crime and other dumb things like that.
That was a bunch of disinformation.
No, it's not. You got to listen to Bill Lockwood.
And it might be malinformation.
Malinformation?
Yeah.
Malinformation, misinformation, and disinformation.
Yes, all of those prefixes are different.
Right.
And that's something else you can look
I don't think that you realize the atheist roots of communism.
I don't think you realize that not all communists are atheists.
Address that. I never said that all communists were atheists. It's an atheist ideology. Whether or not you call yourself an atheist or not is irrelevant to whether communism is an atheist ideology.
Communism is an atheist ideology?
Yeah. You don't even have you even read Marx and Engels and all them?
Yes.
And you never saw that it's atheist at root?
No.
How are you so blind? You're an intellectual.
You can call it what you want.
Yeah.
So again, I'm trying to figure out what you were saying about MLK. You said
MLK was an atheist at 12, I heard, according to Chad Jackson, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we're going to condemn people for what they did at 12, then
I'm not
really
condemning him for what he did at 12. I'm condemning him for what he did.
That's what it sounds like, because when he died, he was a Christian pastor. When he died, he was a Christian pastor.
It's so-called.
When he was a young adult, he was a Christian pastor.
So-called.
So if we're gonna point at what he did when he was 12, then you're condemning him for when he was 12, and you're on your own on that.
No, but you're misinterpreting my words. I never said that, nor did I even imply it. So you're using faulty logic.
Misinterpreting the word. Okay, so again, I'm gonna just try to get back to the root of the conversation because we didn't went down some weird rabbit holes. You said that MLK was phony.
Yep.
He was evil,
yes.
and he riled up Americans based on lies and created fear in them.
Fair enough.
That's the same thing Donald Trump does, and you support it.
That's not true. Trump is a truth teller. He's a man of peace and strength, and he wants what's best for the country. He wants unity. He's not pushing victimhood. He's promoting people being free. He's not pushing anything close to what MLK is. How are you so blind on Trump? You are a what is it called? A blind intellectual. You might as well call yourself Joe from Phoenix's little nephew or big nephew.
You can call me whatever you want.
I'm not calling you that. I'm likening you to the same blind thinking as Joe from Phoenix, because how are you going to compare phony Benjamin Crump type MLK to real guy who loves the country, Donald Trump? Okay, so when you say that, and you did say this, I want to make sure that you said it. You said that Donald Trump doesn't spread victimhood. Right.
Okay, so when he tells people they're coming after me, and if they come after me, they're going to come after you next, that's not victimhood?
No. That's reality.
What is it then?
He says they're not, in reality, they're not after me. They're after you. I'm just in the way. And that's a reality.
Why are they after us if we didn't commit any crimes?
They may not already be. They may not be after you because they seem already to have you on some level.
Then that would make it a lie.
No,
that would make it a lie.
Was he talking to you personally? Did he tell you this?
I wasn't in the crowd. I wasn't in the crowd. He was talking to the people in the crowd.
Okay, well then he wasn't talking to you personally.
Hold on. So to the people in the crowd that didn't commit crimes,
right?
To say that they're coming after you.
Mm-hmm.
And why would they come after people who haven't committed crimes?
Because they hate independent thinkers who stand in the way of the country turning communist or turning evil.
Who is they? Who is they?
The powers that be, the establishment, the rhinos, the Democrats, the mainstream media, the useful idiots. They hate Trump and Trump supporters. They hate white people. They hate men because white people and men and Trump supporters tend to vote a little bit more sane. They tend to be independent thinking and independent. They don't want all this cushy, spoiling welfare stuff. They just want the freedom to work and live and discriminate and be Christians and not have to wear their masks and do their business and not have the government meddling in everything and crying racism all the time. Those people are in the way.
Except they want the government to meddle in between a woman and her doctor and her choice to do what she wants to do with her body if she's pregnant.
Don't tell me that you're falling for being pro-abortion.
No, I just wanted to add that caveat. You said
that's not a caveat.
It is. You said they want freedom. You said they want freedom. They don't want the government telling them what to do.
Do you have a right to abortion? Do you have a right to murder?
You didn't hear what I said.
Do you have a right to murder? Should the government impose on your right to murder? You just went there.
Kill.
You literally just went there.
Thou shalt not kill. I was trying to correct
does the government
have
to? No, you didn't correct anything.
And I don't want to go down. I don't want to further go down the weird rabbit hole.
Yeah, but why did you bring it up?
You said because you said
that's a weird rabbit hole to go down.
No, the rabbit hole would be going down the question of do I have the right to murder? I'm like, no, we're not talking about that. What I'm saying to you is that you said
do
those
women
voters
have the right to
want
murder?
Freedom. You said those voters want freedom.
Yes.
And they don't want the government meddling in their business. And
right.
I said, except when it comes to abortion, they
do want the government to step in. Is murder your personal business or the woman's personal business?
Ain't got nothing to do with me.
Is murder the woman's personal business?
That ain't got nothing to do with me.
So it's her personal business?
It's between a woman, the father of the child, and her doctor, and I don't think the government should be meddling in their business.
Whether they're allowed to murder the kid.
Define murder.
Killing without justification.
With all the guns that we have in this country, there's a lot of killing without justification. So if we only want to apply this to abortion, it's going to be a tough conversation. But if we want to talk about it holistically, I'm all for it.
So you just want to dodge and slip, I might as well get the snake puppet out. If you're going to slip around like that and bring up one wrong
questions.
You did not answer the question at all.
I've asked you about 10 questions that you didn't answer, so it's clearly okay to not answer questions directly.
You're a mess. How are you such a mess?
I try to be fair in conversation.
You're not fair. You're not even answering. You cannot even answer the question whether abortion.
I haven't interrupted you as often as you've interrupted me. I try to be fair in conversation.
Nice, thank you.
I try to ask sensible questions to keep the conversation going forward, as opposed to I don't even know what the types of questions are that you're asking that kind of get us stuck in these rabbit holes.
You brought it up. You brought abortion, which has nothing to do with freedom.
Why did I mention abortion?
Because you think that it has something to do with freedom.
No, it has everything to do with the government not getting involved in people's business.
Right.
I don't think the government has a right to tell people they have to get vaccinated. And I don't think the government has a right to tell people they have to carry a baby to term if they don't want it.
Wow. Okay. All right.
I try to be fair.
Right.
I'm not going to say, hey, the government has the power to say, no, you got raped, you got to have this baby. But no, you don't have to get a vaccine. To me, that's kind of dumb. But that's where a lot of my friends on the right stand. They think the government should have the power to enforce an abortion ban and then say, oh, no, when it comes to vaccinations, it's your body, your choice.
And you think those two things relate?
And if they try to justify that, they struggle to justify that.
But it doesn't make sense because rape doesn't justify murder. A rape victim should not victimize another victim who had nothing to do with the rape, who did not even commit the rape.
You said rape doesn't justify. What about attempted rape?
Rape doesn't justify murder.
Does attempted rape justify murder?
Do you agree with me that rape doesn't justify murder?
I don't.
You think that rape justifies killing the baby?
I think that if a woman is carrying a weapon on a college campus and somebody's going to attempt to rape her and she shoots and kills that person, she should not go to jail.
I'm talking about killing the baby. You're bringing up a totally different subject.
Right. It's not a totally different subject.
Yes, it is.
We're talking about an American citizen having the right to quote unquote kill. If you don't think Americans have the right to kill, then you are. If you don't think Americans have the right to kill, then you're anti-Second Amendment.
I already talked about unjustified killing. How dense are you being, man? I'm shocked at you.
So if a woman is raped by somebody, if she doesn't have a gun and she ends up getting actually raped by that person, I don't think she should have to deliver that baby and raise it.
You keep on changing the subject.
I'm not changing the subject. I'm literally giving you the two small scenarios, and I'm keeping it the same way.
Oh, okay.
If a woman is about to get raped by somebody, she doesn't get raped by this person, but this person tries to. If she kills that person in self-defense, I think it's justified. If a woman doesn't kill the rapist and she gets raped and becomes pregnant, I think she's justified in ending that ending that pregnancy and killing that quote unquote baby.
No,
they're both justified.
No, they're not. Neither. Well, she's not justified in killing the baby.
We disagree. I think both women. Both women would be justified in their quote unquote killings.
Well, you can justify it all you want, but she's going to be miserable for having killed the baby. You're adding to her sorrows.
Her freedom. That's her freedom.
It's not a freedom. It's a special privilege.
It is a freedom.
No, it's not.
The same way somebody quote unquote might feel bad or feel sick if they don't get vaccinated. That's on them based on the choice that they made. So if they going into pregnancy and they have to deal with the mental and emotional ramifications of that, that's on them. But I can only imagine the emotional ramifications of giving birth to a baby from somebody that raped you. I'm not about to tell any woman she has to have that baby.
Well, I would advise her to have the baby, and I don't think
that's authoritarianism. And you think that you?
No, it's not authoritarianism.
I don't think the government or any person has the ability or the authority to tell somebody else that they have to deliver a baby that was a result of them being raped.
If they had sex or they got themselves raped, they should have the baby. They'll be happier for it than if they kill the baby.
And you are entitled to that, what I would call a dumb opinion.
All right. You're for killing.
Regarding MLK,
you're for unjustified killing.
The way you condemned MLK, to me, I think the same explanation you gave is reason enough to disavow Trump.
No, not at all.
It's
Trump
the same thing. Talking to people, stoking fear.
He's
saying
that
this is what the government's doing, and you need to step up and vote and do this. They both used those same instrumentations.
Do you agree with me that MLK stoked fear and division and hatred?
Say that one more time.
Do you agree with me that MLK was a woman?
No, MLK was not a woman.
Yeah, he was a divider, a hater. He pushed victimhood.
I don't think he pushed victimhood. I don't know what books or speeches that you've read of his or haven't. Say that again.
Do you think Trump pushed victimhood?
Yes, I gave you that example already.
But so you're pretending like Trump and MLK are the same for me, but you don't actually think that Trump and MLK are the same.
I don't.
Yeah.
And that's based.
You don't even really believe in what you're saying.
Hey, no, I specifically asked you why you disavow MLK, and the reasons that you gave, I said I used those same reasons to disavow Trump.
Well, you can disavow Trump all you want.
I appreciate that. Thank you for telling me that the same way that I've been doing that with you. I'm like, you got the right to those opinions.
Because I'm for freedom, not murder.
And I'm the same way. I'm for freedom.
Except you're for a simp for women.
I'm not a simp for women.
Yeah, you are.
Wait, let me rephrase. If standing up for women being able to protect themselves with guns and with abortion access, then yeah, I guess I'm a simp for women.
Why you have to throw guns in there? You make yourself sound tougher?
It's the same way. I don't think that women should only be able to defend themselves from attempted rapists. I think they should also be able to defend themselves if they're actually raped and then they become pregnant. I think they should be able to defend themselves from that.
That's not self-defense to kill a baby in the womb.
Yes, it is.
No, that's harming yourself.
Sometimes it is.
It's harming yourself.
If carrying the baby to term is threatening to their health, or if it's
which has nothing to do with rape.
If a woman is 8 weeks pregnant with a baby that came from a rapist, I think it's okay for her to end that pregnancy.
Yeah. I mean, I get that you're a blind simp.
You can call it what you want. I'm okay with that. But I stand where I'm at. I think women should be able to.
So, do you disavow MLK?
I do not disavow MLK. I've read too many of his books, listened to too many of his speeches, and agree with more. There's more stuff that he said I agree with than it is that I disagree with. Communists
will mix facts with lies.
Trump mixes facts with lies all the time, and you think it's okay.
Trump doesn't lie.
Yes, he does.
No, not deceptively, not for the harm of the people, not to pretend like he's something that he's not. No, he does not.
He doesn't tell people things to pretend that he's something. You don't listen to Trump talk to him.
Yeah, huh? But anyway,
you can't.
Yeah, you're blind. You're blind, man.
I'll tell you this. Between Trump and MLK, only one of those scam people out of millions and millions of dollars.
Scam? Lord.
Yeah.
Lord.
You don't know about Trump University?
I've heard it. So you fell for that. You fell for that propaganda.
You don't know about Trump University?
I've heard of it.
You don't know about Trump University?
I don't know much about it, nor do I care.
Cool, yeah.
You want to call it a scam all you want? That's courtroom jargon propaganda. The truth does not come out in the legal courts.
Legally, okay, so when Mark says that it's legally okay to say the word Negro, you agree. When I tell you that legally Trump has been found guilty of scamming people via Trump University, you just turn a blind eye to it.
Because
I don't know why you do that, but it's okay. You're entitled to do that.
The Negro word was never adjudicated in lawsuits, okay? It's about the First
Trump
Amendment,
University
okay?
was, though.
I know, exactly. That's what I'm telling you. That lawsuits don't tell you the truth.
Some of them do. And
right,
Trump
exactly.
Trump University is a lawsuit that was legitimate. So
how do you know?
You said you've heard it? Because I know about it. I didn't just hear about it.
Just because you know about it doesn't mean you are able to be a good judge about it. You think you judge abortion in the case of rape as fine, which many people are blind like that. I understand it. And you judge Trump as worse than MLK, and that's ridiculous.
I didn't even say Trump was worse than MLK. I just said I disavow one and not the other.
You're not a good judge of truth versus lies.
And you're entitled to have that opinion.
Yeah,
about me.
because courts will force a person to, they will cast things in a funny light, especially lawsuits. Give me a break.
Some of them, absolutely.
Yeah.
But specifically speaking on Trump University, that's not the case, and that doesn't apply.
So it says you.
And when I asked you about it, you said you heard about it, and then you don't care about it, and that's okay. But that means
because
that
I take Trump for how he presents himself, and he presents himself real. And for some odd reason, you can't see that.
Did you see how he presented himself with regards to Trump University?
No, I don't watch that stuff. I don't care about the smears. Those are phony smears.
They're not.
I watch how he presents himself.
Did you see how I should have said misrepresented himself. Did you see how he misrepresented himself through Trump University?
I don't know, and I don't care. I see how he presents himself in the real life, and for some reason, you can't see that.
Okay, so to help you keep the wheel spinning, I'll try to tie this up in 10 seconds.
All right.
You're against unions because they mistreat Americans. But you're okay with Trump scamming millions and millions of dollars out of Americans.
Yeah, of course. Unions have been far more destructive, and Trump has been constructive. Trump has helped build America, and unions are holding America back and holding America down. Definitely.
Yeah, you're entitled to that opinion. I'm not here to change.
Oh no, that's undeniable, man.
I would disagree. I think. Yeah. There's too many people that's a part of unions. If they were that terrible, then we wouldn't have them. But
I didn't say the people are bad. I said the unions are bad. The union leaders are corrupt. The existence of the unions was brought about by corrupt communist motivations. The JLP pointed out that when he was recruiting people to become union members, he would target the angry people, the angry employees. Because unions, just like the so-called civil rights, were born out of anger, not love.
And the same way he stopped doing that, the people that are part of bad unions or having bad experiences with them, they can also go and find a different level of employment.
Whatever.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, Ronnie.
I know you got other callers, yes, sir. So I'll let you keep the wheels moving, and we'll touch base soon.
My bag. Thank you, man.
Take care.
Bye. Terrible how Hake got carried away with that. I apologize, guys. It's not Ronnie's fault either. It's completely me.